So we're at Claremont Distillery in Fairfield, New Jersey.
Correct.
This is the first stop on my New Jersey distillery tour for MicroShiner. And so Tim, what got you into distilling? Let's just dive right in right there.
I got to tell you, honestly, I had worked in financial services in the city for 23, 24 years and kind of got burnt out. I'm tired of getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And I always liked spirits. And I did a little bit of home brewing. And so I was looking for something else to do. And at that point in time, when I was trying to transition, it was actually when Jersey changed the laws to promote craft distilling. So I looked into it, and you may or may not be aware, but Jersey's the 5th largest alcohol consuming market in the nation.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, that's a market opportunity. And so that's really how I got into it. I befriended an individual, ironically, that had a distillery in Idaho. And we got talking about it. He's like, New Jersey would be a great market. Why don't you do that? And so that's really how I got into it.
Wow. That's surprising because this is the smallest state,
Yes, but it very large, densely populated, stressed out population.
Right, coming in from New York and all that.
It's funny. I mean, the alcohol laws in the state as well. I mean, they're new to me, I guess, coming from California, where there's restaurants that you can BYOB. Like I went to a Cuban restaurant last night and I walked in with a bottle of rum. And that's something you can't do in California, but you could do here. I find that it's interesting, very fascinating. I mean, I went to school in Savannah, Georgia, so I get it. Like no alcohol on Sundays, or where you could buy it and whatnot. But what are they like here?
The liquor laws you're talking?
Yeah.
I wish I knew.
Right.
I mean, it's funny because certainly at the retail level, there are so many different classes of licenses.
Okay.
There are club licenses. There's the obvious retail licenses. I'm not sure what type of license you need for BYOB, but I assume there is a license that goes with that. But, Jersey, and I don't necessarily know how it's done in other states, Jersey, there is a finite number of liquor licenses.
Okay.
And so each municipality may only, have 3.
Okay.
And if you don't own one of those 3, it's not like you have to buy one of the existing 3. So I think really with kind of the BYO is kind of to, give these guys that don't have the liquor license at least a chance to, allow to have patrons have alcohol.
Okay. No, that's cool. That's really neat. Yeah. All right. Okay, so you got in. You have a financial background. Got into distilling.
How many years ago was it?
It was 2014 when we started.
2014. Okay.
Oh wow.
All right.
That's so great.
What did you set off to make? I guess what was you thought you could make the best bourbon, or
bourbon really it's the fun one to
Yeah.
make, and everyone wants to make bourbon. Just because there's so much more you can do with it. But like many craft distilleries, well, what are you going to do while you're waiting for your bourbon? And it just so happened, and ironic that the individual that I befriended out in Idaho, well, they made vodka, and they make potato vodka.
Yeah.
So we started off, actually the first thing we made was our Moonshine, which is just an unaged corn whiskey. And the reason we did that was because we were having some problems with our vodka still. We couldn't quite figure it out. And once we rectified that, we started making vodka, and we make a potato-based vodka. We're now at the point that we do have bourbon, but and I much prefer the dark spirits. But our vodka is really good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of become like a baby, and we'll always make it, and it's been very, very well received.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Should we dive into one?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. We could pour whatever you feel like.
This is just our plain.
Okay.
It's, like I said, a potato-based vodka.
Potato-based. So you get the potatoes from your friend in Idaho?
No. We actually get them from New Jersey.
New Jersey potatoes.
Yes.
Okay.
New Jersey, actually, southern New Jersey, there are a lot of potatoes that are grown, combination of Atlantic potatoes and Snowden potatoes.
Okay.
And those are actually potatoes that, for the most part, are used in making potato chips. But we decided to make vodka out of it.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
What are the potatoes again? Snowden?
They're Snowden
In
Atlantic.
In Atlantic. Okay.
And all of the ingredients for all of your products are from New Jersey, right?
Pretty much with the exception of the malted barley.
Okay.
That's a little bit more of a challenge to find. Like I told you, we have made a New Jersey single malt, but it's not easy to get New Jersey single malt, and it's exorbitantly expensive.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right. So single malt, is that ready and out yet?
It's not out yet. It's close to ready.
Okay.
If you'd like to delve into a barrel.
I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. Okay, so let's go through your whole lineup. First off, that vodka is fantastic.
It is.
That's really nice.
good.
I like the body in it. I like when vodka has body and flavor. It's like, oh, the cleanest, I mean, I think spirits should taste like something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's the lineup?
So
you have
we have the vodka, which is Claremont vodka. We have, the plain. We make a all-natural blueberry.
okay.
And what we actually do is we distill the essence of blueberry out of Hamilton, New Jersey blueberries. Most
Okay.
people don't know that Hamilton, New Jersey is the blueberry capital of the world.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can get blueberries down there the size of
Mind blown.
quarters, and they're purple. Wow.
Yeah.
Literally, the company that we buy, they grow 25 million pounds of blueberries a year.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
And then we make a peach vodka with New Jersey white peaches.
Okay.
And, people, we talked earlier about being the Garden State. New Jersey is the fourth largest producer of peaches in the nation and blueberries.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about peaches. I knew blueberries, but
people don't know that, but we
Wow.
are.
Wow.
And so that's why, like I said, I have no interest in making whipped cream flavored vodka.
Yeah.
The reason we do the two
Yeah.
flavors is because they're, really native Jersey flavors. So
Okay. All right. So the two vodkas, the Moonshine.
I didn't put the peach out here, but we make the peach.
Right.
No.
Okay. No, it's okay.
And then we make a moonshine, and the moonshine that we make, I mean, it's an unaged corn whiskey. It's 80% corn, 20% malted barley.
Okay.
And then we do two flavors. One is an apple pie, and it really does taste like apple pie. And again, it's all natural using New Jersey apples. There's some other things in there. We then do a flaming cinnamon, SIN, because this is a mythical creature I really can't discuss. Very well known in New Jersey.
Okay.
okay.
Wait. Hold on. We can't just skip over that. Is it something you really can't talk about?
No, it's the New Jersey Devil.
Oh, the New Jersey Devil.
Yes.
Hockey team.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
I was going to ask.
It's NJD. Yes, but the Jersey Devil, which
Okay.
is this huge. I don't know if you're familiar with this legend.
No, let's hear it.
It's basically Mother Leeds, who was somewhere down, I think it was the 1700s. I used to have the story on the back. Her 13th child, apparently, when was born, came out and flew up the chimney. Had hoofs and wings. Obviously, a devil child. And ever since that time, there have been random sightings of the Jersey Devil.
Wow.
Throughout New Jersey. It's folklore legend.
That's
but
great.
there are those that believe it. And if you go down to the Pine Barrens, the Pine Barrens is an interesting place. So
Wow. So it's like kind of like, I guess, Sasquatch.
exactly.
Okay. And then Chupacabra. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, when I first walked in, this was the first bottle I saw, and I was gonna ask. I didn't even think about. I thought like the Jersey Devils hockey team,
Yeah,
but it doesn't look quite like.
No, there's a wine, and trademarking laws are crazy, and the trademark office doesn't differentiate between alcohols. And
Okay.
So it could be considered trademark infringement if it was named something else.
Right.
Got it.
Very cool.
Okay.
And then we have a number of bourbons. This was actually the first one that we put out. It's a 5-grain bourbon, which is a
Okay.
little unique. That's why I wanted you to try it. Most bourbons are 3-grain: corn, rye, malted barley, corn, wheat, malted barley. This is corn, wheat, rye, malted barley, and a little bit of oat. And
Okay.
the oat kind of gives it a fuller body, kind of softens it on the palate. In all honesty, I mean, all of our bourbons at this point in time, when we first started, we filled 53 gallons because I wanted to be traditional and wait numerous years, but a lot of our customers started asking us for bourbon. So we did fill some smaller barrels. And this is, shorter age, smaller barrel, but you can get a pretty good idea of what it would be like in 6-7 years. And it's kind of funny because literally all the barrels, the 53s that we first filled, they're all ready now, but it's kind of like, well, let's wait another year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So. No, it's a lot of fun when you just have those barrels that you just kind of forgot about, you know, and you're like, oh wait, what is this?
What's actually the first barrel we ever filled, I named after my son, and it's over there. And has a nice little plaque on it.
Okay.
And he was 13. And I promised him that we'll open it when he's 21.
Okay.
And he thinks he's getting the whole barrel. He may get a bottle, but it's his barrel.
Oh, that's funny.
I think actually he's probably been sneaking into it by now. Being 17.
Okay.
Would you like to try the blueberry?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's dive into
don't
dive
mean
into him. No,
Yeah.
definitely. I drank all my vodka. So okay. So vodka, blueberry vodka, peach vodka, moonshine, 2 different types of moonshine.
Three.
Three?
We have the plain, which, moonshine, certainly plain moonshine's a little bit of a tough sell, but it's a very nice kind of just unaged corn whiskey.
Right.
I mean, it's really like a cornfield in your mouth.
Okay.
So, we do make that.
Okay. Then bourbon, and then your single malt. And the single malt is still in barrel.
Yep, and we have a number of different bourbons and whiskeys in various stages. Like, this is our 5 grain. We do have a more traditional 3 grain that is currently out on the market. We have the single malt that some may say is ready. I want to hold off a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually don't have it bottled yet, but we have our moonshine that we aged for 2 years in once used bourbon barrels, and it very light, like a Scotch or like an Irish whiskey. Really good, and that's what I'd like to. Then we have the single malt. We actually have some straight 4 grain. We have a little bit of rye. We actually did an experiment with the rye, and we only did 153 gallon barrel of it, and it ended up coming out so nice that we didn't even proof it down.
Wow.
And unfortunately, the barrel was sold in a matter of days. So, one thing we're working on now, I'm not necessarily a big flavored bourbon guy, but we actually got a barrel sitting back there that Laird's it's the oldest distillery in New Jersey. They make Applejack. Unfortunately, they no longer distill in New Jersey. But it's a 12-year-old Laird's apple brandy barrel that was then used by an organic maple farmer in Vermont to age, get a little brandy flavored maple syrup. And we just got it from him, and we're going to throw some whiskey in it to get, a maple flavored whiskey.
Oh, wow.
Now you might know this. This is does Laird's? Did they actually make their Applejack by jacking it? Like actually in their...
Originally, I believe they did.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because most people, you tell them about jacking, they're like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Yeah. No, originally I believe they did.
Right.
I'm sure they don't anymore.
Okay.
But if you look, they are kind of like the original Applejack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, a New Jersey product. It originated in Jersey.
Okay, so jacking. Do you know what jacking is, Amanda?
I don't.
So no, okay, so jacking, just because I might even have it wrong, but what it is to make Applejack, you'd take like apple cider, ferment apple ciders. Then you would freeze it, and of course the alcohol does not freeze, so then they take the alcohol off the mash.
Okay.
They basically take the ice out.
Yeah, the
Oh,
ice
which
out.
is basically the water.
Yeah.
And various other parts of the mash, and what's left is your alcohol.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they do that, and I guess it does get cold enough here.
Oh
to
yeah,
freeze.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh wow.
This is delicious. This is like blueberry pie.
Yes.
It's
and
really
we
good.
actually, it's really funny because we promoted drinking in the summer, at the tasting room, just this and a lemonade. And it's just like
so good.
I can make alcohol. I can't make drinks, but I can even make this one. So,
Yeah.
but that is all natural. It's all blueberry.
Really
That's
good.
really nice.
So I know you had mentioned earlier you started off making it in your house, and then
Not liquor. Don't.
No, yeah.
Don't. Never did that, federal government.
Edit that out. But so how did you learn how to do all of this?
I was really fortunate that when I first started, I hired a really good young distiller. And it's funny because when he was here, I unfortunately was doing the paperwork and he was doing the production. I found myself spending more time in back of the production because the production's a lot more fun.
Right.
So he was with me for 3 years and unfortunately got seriously injured in a skiing accident and really couldn't come back. But I had paid attention for 3 years. So I kind of took over that, and simultaneously I'm actually working on my master's degree in brewing and distillation.
Oh wow!
From Heriot-Watt University in Scotland. So,
okay.
And
so
cool.
Cool.
You can make it as scientific as you want or as simple as you want. But it's kind of funny. I mean, it's that thing. Had they taught me this in high school, I would have paid attention.
Right.
And
right.
There's literally the first class I took was it wasn't microbiology, organic chemistry. And, I'm calling my daughter up at school and I'm like, let's go through this whole atom thing. Can you start explaining, or cell, not atom. Explain to me this whole cell structure,
Exactly.
So,
Right.
but it's a really rigorous program. And like I said, I mean, you can make it as hard as you want, but it's fascinating. It really is.
Yeah. And so far, what you've learned there, have you sort of changed some of what you've been doing here, or does it?
Not a lot. Basically, things make a lot more sense to me.
Okay.
Right.
Literally, like when, dealing with things such as pH levels in your water, your Brix levels, your various fermentation temperatures. Things and then in the distillation, things just make a lot more sense.
Right.
Rather than just kind of learning it. But like I said, I got great hands-on experience from my former distiller.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. That's great. That's really cool.
It's funny because the people, so many different walks of life that I've met are distillers or own distilleries. You said you have a financial background. Another gentleman I did a podcast with, he came from a marketing background, and they just wanted to get out of that office and just start doing something more with their hands. And it's so funny. Then I just did a podcast with Two Bar in Seattle, and Maddie Kelly. She's 29 years old, and has a chemistry background. She's been distilling there since she was out of college, and she's killing it. The chemistry knowledge that she brings to the distillery is so cool. It's just really neat.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, there's just, if you do have that background, and you really understand different types of yeasts, and if you understand organic chemistry, you can really do some neat things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool.
Okay, should we try the bourbon or the
I'm
moonshine?
going to make you try the moonshine.
Moonshine, okay.
I'm going to make you try the moonshine first.
I know in I was listening to some of our podcasts over this week, and a few of the distillers mentioned it when they had, if they were in marketing or finance or, transitioning over to doing this was sort of, it was big for their families and all of that. How was that sort of transition for you?
I have a very understanding wife.
Good.
And she's very, very supportive of it. My kids love it. Why wouldn't they?
Right.
But she knew that I had just gotten to the point that I wasn't happy doing what I was doing, and I'd reached a point in my life that I wanted to do something that I truly enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it's not like I retired. I in all honesty, I work probably harder than I ever have.
Oh, yeah.
And I make substantially less than I ever did.
Yeah.
But it truly is. Are these?
It's okay.
It truly is. Becomes a labor of love. And I honestly, my wife thinks I'm crazy. There are days that I'll wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and I'll know I'm not going to fall back asleep. And I'm like, well, hell, I'll go do a distillation. And she'll hear the car leave at 3:45. So it's like, but she's been, my family's been great about it.
Yeah.
And, there's something incredibly satisfying about basically having an idea and see it come to fruition. Not that my kids are buying liquor, but they go into a liquor store with my wife or myself and they see our products on the shelves and they're like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
This is the apple pie.
Ooh, it smells so good.
Oh wow, that's really good.
That's
really
apple
good.
pie.
That is apple pie.
Yeah.
It's funny because like a lot of people they'll go, am I crazy or do I taste a little bit of crust at the end?
Yeah, no, that's what I
It's
was just
really
gonna say.
good.
It is. That is like,
Yeah.
Wow. It's I'm
get the dough.
almost tasting like caramel on the top of it. It's so good.
wow. Okay.
I'm sure this is very popular this time of year.
It's very, very popular. It's funny because like my wife, she literally is more of a wine drinker, but now she's started to drink bourbon, but she drinks a lot of this on the rocks.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of like her
It's
go-to
really
drink.
good. Yeah.
That's really nice. That is really nice. Okay, so you started talking about the Keurig Cocktail.
Yeah.
So let's dive back into that story.
What do you want to know?
Okay, what made you? First off, what was it you got into?
It was basically the first ever single serve cocktail machine. And frankly, I thought a brilliant idea. And we produced the 50 ml alcohol packets that went in the machine. Basically, the machine, you put in a 50 ml alcohol packet, you then put in a 50 ml packet of, if you want a rum punch, of the rum punch drink mix, and it has a little reservoir in the back because that's concentrated with water. And press a button, in 20 seconds you have a rum punch or a margarita or whatever. And so we got involved with that, and it's one of those kind of things that I think we learned, kind of stick to your knitting, but it was, I think I and some other individuals involved here kind of saw all the stars, and it's like, this could be really big. We probably shouldn't get involved in this, but if we don't and it gets really big, we're going to be really upset. You know? And so that kind of took over the more rational thought that this isn't really what we do.
Yeah. FOMO.
Yes.
Yeah, FOMO is a thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's okay. So that's really funny. So how do you feel? What's your thoughts on RTDs? This is a fun question I've been asking more lately. RTDs, for all you listeners, it's ready to drink.
Look, there's obviously a huge market for it. I would be lying to you if I told you we haven't considered it. It may be something that we've really started thinking about it this year in like May. And most of the RTD market really is more of a summer type market. And we're like, well, we're too late for this year. It's probably, it's one of those things, honestly, that we already are trying to do so much. It's like the thought of adding something else is almost overwhelming. But it's certainly something we're considering. And look, it's a huge market. It's a huge market with the millennials, with the younger kids. I never knew what White Claw was.
Right.
And now you just, everyone 21 to 30 drinks White Claw.
Yeah.
It's something that we're considering, but I'm more of a traditionalist. So it's kind of.
Exactly. No, I go back and forth with, well, first off, a lot of distillers, but also Kobe, the founder of MicroShiner, because it's almost like the RTDs, it's taking the craft out of the cocktail, and that's really, it's unfortunate. But then I sat down with a gentleman at Alley 6 in Hillsburg, and I used to manage bars. And so I get it, where it's like you show up to a party. Oh, you're a bartender. Here, make some drinks. And I don't want to work, I want to hang out and socialize. So, all right, get that, old fashioned in a can, poured over ice, easy. But I don't know. It's still it's very when when craft distilleries start getting into it, it's kind of like, no, don't do it. Stay craft, stay small. Don't dive in that. Leave that up to the White Claw.
I mean,
schmucks.
I think that's the reality of it is that, White Claw is big, and they're big because they've had huge marketing budget behind them. That like you say, leave it to the big guys, because you will end up probably getting crushed if you try to get into that market.
Exactly.
It's been something we've thought about, but certainly haven't put any money towards it.
Yeah.
But
like you say, it's interesting because people definitely kind of want the ready to drink, and most of it is people don't want to make a cocktail at home.
Right.
I certainly don't, but I don't. Everything I drink is basically neat or straight.
Exactly.
But certainly if you're having kind of a cocktail party, I mean, I would be at a loss to be making. If someone asked me to make them a whiskey sour or whatever, and it's like, so there is the convenience factor, but I don't think it's ever going to, be the big thing at the bars that you're going to get rid of bartenders because of the ready to drink.
Right.
You can't mimic it. You can't mimic, a truly great made
Absolutely.
drink.
I mean, it's kind of another story. It's like, okay, you're going kayaking and stuff, right? But you don't want to drink beer. You just throw, some gin and tonics in the can, and throw it on ice.
Yep.
But it's also just different people. Like me, I have no problem just throwing a bottle of whiskey in a paper cup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I obviously know people in various segments of the industry, and certainly like the White Claw. I have one friend who's told me his cider business has been killed by it.
Wow.
People that were gravitating towards cider are now drinking White Claw. And I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's a threat to craft spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a very different market.
Wow.
How has what is sort of the marketing side of this industry? Like, how did you sort of start out getting the word out? And
it's really, it's funny. It's, we call it kind of our liquor to lips program. We don't have big marketing budget. And as a result, we do every event that we get invited to. We give away a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do. And it's, every charitable event, I had, and it becomes overwhelming. But like I had an event last night, so we do lots and lots of events, lots of store samplings. We try to get as many people into the tasting room as we can through various types of entertainment and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And social media, honestly, is obviously the most cost effective. Growing your Instagram following and your Facebook. Because I'm not. The reality of it is even if we could like put a full page ad in the New York Times, and people would be like, "What's that?"
Right.
There's it's not like we're a known brand, and I'm not sure that it works. Kind of the traditional marketing advertising type for someone in a startup phase.
Right.
Okay. With that being said, where are you distributed?
We are only in New Jersey.
Only in New Jersey.
And that's a very conscious decision at this point in time. And it gets back to New Jersey being the 5th largest alcohol consuming market.
Yeah.
If you can penetrate New Jersey, you're well on your way to building, a successful business.
Okay.
And we're allowed to self-distribute in New Jersey, which we do. Unfortunately, it's becoming a little bit of a logistical issue now, and I don't want to be in the logistics business, but it's nice to be able to capture that extra margin that you would give to distributors. So we're in over 250 locations throughout the state. Wow. And kind of generally the bigger chain type stores were the Wegmans, the Whole Foods, a lot of the ShopRite Liquors, Total Wine and More, Wine Academy.
All right.
Wow.
And then when it comes to the on-premise type stuff, we're in fewer accounts in that, but we're very happy with the accounts that we're in there. That it's not the corner bar. It's kind of some very nice restaurants and bars.
Okay.
And that's a much more difficult market to penetrate, and that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you thought about selling like direct to consumer?
Well, we're allowed to sell direct to consumer out of here, which we do. But, the laws are so kind of crazy. I frankly don't fully understand, the laws. And I obviously have attorneys that like to charge a lot of money to figure these things out.
Okay.
But it's, we've been approached. There's some entities out there that are trying to promote craft distilling and marketing of it and distribution of it, but it kind of gets back to just we want to make sure people in New Jersey know who we are before we go anywhere else.
Yeah,
right.
No, yeah, start in your hometown. No, definitely. That's kind of what's happening with cannabis. But that's a whole nother podcast.
The next podcast.
Exactly.
I can tell you a very interesting story about that.
Oh, yeah?
I have some hemp infused.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So, okay.
This was actually quite entertaining.
Yeah. Let's dive in.
I had an individual who's kind of a regular here. And he's an older gentleman. He calls me up one day and he's like, "Hey, Tim." He's like, "I got an idea." He's like, "I got something I want to show you." And he basically brought up this little bottle, and I smelled it, and I, tasted it. I was like, "That smells and tastes like marijuana." It's like, "It is." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, I distilled this at home. And he's like, "I took Everclear and, infused it with marijuana and then redistilled it." He had like this little water distilling machine and then redistilled it. And apparently only the terpenes come over. The THC doesn't. So you get the smell and the taste. He's like, "I think we could do this here on a bigger scale." And I'm like, "Buddy, this is a federal facility. I can't have you bringing pounds of me." It's like, "Are you kidding me?" And so then he came back to me. He apparently has a friend who's a hemp farmer with some hemp. And it's funny because you smell it and you taste it. But the thing is I think there is a market for kind of THC infused
Definitely.
alcohol, but I'm not sure if there's a market for marijuana flavor because it's not necessarily the nicest taste. So if you're not getting that benefit of the THC, it's like, well, do I really want to drink it?
Yeah, it's really interesting how that's. I mean, talking about RTDs, right? I'm from California. In Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, it's huge industry, cannabis. And Lagunitas partnered with a company, Lagunitas beer.
Yep.
Lagunitas beer, right?
Yep.
They partnered with a company, Cannacraft, and they make cannabis drinks. So they're like 10 milligrams, and they taste like beer, but there's no alcohol in them. And then, and then they also just do like a hop flavored soda water too. That's just Lagunitas does that, but
it has basically the THC in it.
THC tastes like beer, no alcohol, because of course TTB's not going to let those two.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who's involved in all types of investment activities, and he was telling me that they have basically invested in a company that just does just that. It's basically THC infused seltzer. And he was like, "Look, there's still a certain stigma with smoking marijuana, this, that, and the other. This way you can go to a party and you're drinking your THC infused seltzer. Who's any of the wiser?" And there's not that stigma that may go with it.
Right.
And he's like, "It's going to be a big business."
Yeah.
And it will.
Yeah, I was just at the ACSA conference, and and I was like, and then I went to ADI as well, but at both conferences they had a big thing was cannabis and how it's gonna maybe affect the industry. Nobody really knows yet. It's still so new, with it. I mean, except for Colorado, but
it's funny because literally, my attorneys, they specialize in alcohol. They have a whole group that's just dedicated to alcohol and alcohol laws. Well, that group now is also involved in cannabis and cannabis laws. That's literally they have a dedicated team that is going to try and decipher this.
Wow.
That's that's fun. It's just so crazy to see how it's going to happen. What are the cannabis laws in Jersey?
It's still highly regulated medicinal type stuff.
Okay.
I think like Massachusetts, I think is the closest state that recreational is legal.
Oh, okay.
Not that I would know, but
Tim,
but New Jersey, Jersey's still highly regulated. But it was supposed to go in front of the state Senate this year. Actually, people thought it was going to be legalized in 2019, and I don't know what happened, but something stopped it.
Yeah.
Big political debate.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because actually, like, you're already seeing some towns that are putting in zoning ordinances that won't allow,
Wow.
recreational marijuana.
Dispensaries and stuff like that. Yeah. Got it. Huh. Well, shall we try the bourbon?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's dive in. Making sure. So, all right, talking about distilleries.
Mm-hmm.
So when you set out to, start a distillery, do you think what's your end game? Build the brand to sell, scale to sell, or do you want to just keep it in the family?
I don't think you can go into that with that being in your end game, because if you do, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
If that's, I think you go into it because, one, you have a passion for it, you love doing it. I love the thought of a legacy kind of family type business.
Very cool.
If my kids get involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you go into it thinking that, you're going to be the next Casamigos or whatever, and there's only one. What's his name?
George Clooney.
Well, there's only one George Clooney out there. I think if you go in with that type of mentality, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You gotta love it, and I would love it. But believe me, long after I'm gone, I would love it to be a big business, and onto a third generation, and a picture of me drinking bourbon on some wall.
Right.
That would be kind of. But this is our 5 grain, which I was telling you about. So it's a little younger than I would like, but you can get a good idea of it.
Still, it's a great nose.
Oh, wow.
And we tend to keep our stuff higher proof. So this is 88 proof, which for a young bourbon at 88 proof, it's pretty darn smooth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really good.
No, it's really clean. Nice long
really
finish.
good.
Yeah.
Where's the label come from? Tracks and Rails?
Everything that we've done actually has been tied to New Jersey.
Yeah.
And we were trying to come up. We wanted a train theme for our bourbon.
Yeah, there's a lot of trains in this state.
New Jersey actually has more train stations than any state in the nation, and there's a huge train history in New Jersey.
Okay.
So we wanted to go with the train theme. The problem was every train-related name had already been trademarked.
Oh, wow.
We literally everyone we'd come up with, we'd run it by our attorneys. Nope, already gone. And so, literally one day I was on the phone with our attorneys and a couple of my salespeople, and one just threw out, "How about we just call it Tracks and Rails?" And look that up. And they're like, "Yep, that's available." I'm like, "We're done." It's tough, and it's actually because the Moonshine obviously is a Jersey taint, and even Claremont is. Most people don't know the history of Claremont, but Claremont is a very Jersey thing. And actually, you're staying in Montclair, you'll see Claremont Street, and you'll probably notice a lot more of them. But there's a lot of historical significance to Claremont. One of which was actually the first steamship ever to go up the Hudson was the Claremont.
Okay.
But the reason that we chose that was because Jockey Hollow, which is not far from here, Revolutionary War site. George Washington was stationed there, and as you probably know, at one point in time, he owned the largest distillery in the nation.
Yeah.
He had a little personal still there that he had named Claremont.
Okay.
And so that's where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
That's
okay.
awesome.
A little
I was gonna
backstory
ask,
behind the
but-
name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
And that's, literally everything that we've tried to do is stay true to the state when it's ingredients, names, anything that we can basically get from New Jersey, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And were you raised in this area around here?
Not in this area. I was raised a little further west, but I grew up in New Jersey. I went to undergrad in Washington, D.C., and then I went to graduate school in Tennessee. So I've been around, but I always kind of come back to New Jersey.
Yeah. Very cool. And I know you had mentioned you don't want to get into gin, right? do you use?
It's funny. When we first started, everyone asked us, and we'd been approached by every big distributor. Everyone asked us, "You guys gonna make gin? It's the next hot thing. Gin's the next hot thing. You need to get involved in gin." And I guess gin was the next hot thing, but it went from 5% of the overall alcohol market to 6.5%.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is a fact, but I've kind of been told that we would actually need a separate facility because of the various botanicals could seep into our other products, and I just don't want to necessarily take that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I
I've
never
been
thought
told,
about that.
I've been told different things. Like, there are a lot of people that make gin and make other things, but I've kind of been told because of, the scope of our stills and whatnot, the size, that I would really be in danger in getting some of those flavors into some of our other products.
Yeah, no,
I guess that would make
I mean,
sense.
now that you mention that, it does make sense. Like, almost like barrel rooms are separate from any kind of distillery that I know makes whiskey and gin. I'm like, okay. And then, of course, the different, types of stills you need. Wow, that's okay. No, that's
and
new to me.
It's interesting because I have a friend who's a vineyard, but he's got some big connection to New Mexico, and I never realized about, like, New Mexico grows massive amounts of juniper.
Oh, wow.
And so he's like all over me. You need to be making gin with, Mexican juniper. I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's also something to, I know you mentioned you don't really like gin, so I think.
I'm not I've probably had one or too many hangovers. I remember when, Tanqueray kind of first came out. Before it was Gordon's gin that no one drank. And, when I was younger, Tanqueray comes out and it's like everyone's drinking Tanqueray and tonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife would love me to make it because she really likes gin.
Yeah.
It just comes down to, and we talk about it all the time, it's just, you can easily overextend yourself, and I want to make sure that everything we make is good. I don't necessarily want to make a lot of things,
right?
But what we do make, I want to make sure that they're good.
Yeah, and they are.
Yeah, thank you.
No,
very good.
Excellent. No,
yeah.
No, and so if you were to make gin, what would you use from New Jersey? Have you thought about that at all? What is New Jersey known for?
That's a good point. I guess you can't really. You probably have to use the.
Well, that's the whole thing. I don't know if you can get juniper. I don't know. Can we get ginger root in New Jersey? I really don't know.
Right, exactly.
I haven't even looked into it. And honestly, you tell me, is there a potato-based gin out there? I'm not sure.
Ooh. Well, I mean, as long as you distill it to what's the law?
190 proof.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, 95. Then you could do. Then as long as it's just strips of that, then you can use that as a base. Yeah. But no, I think a potato-based gin. I think it'd be a hit. It'd probably be a hit.
Can be onto something.
You're gonna talk me into making it, aren't you?
No. I mean, I like every spirit, but gin, and again, I think you're doing fantastic stuff. So why dive into that? And I also think I'm a firm believer in American single malt being the next big thing. Mm-hmm. So
I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I really do.
So and gin is fun, and it's because it could be so different. People always ask, "What's your favorite?" What's your favorite vodka? And I say, well, gin. Because it's flavored vodka.
Absolutely.
And gin is changing so much where you get the London dry style, then you have more like floral notes,
Yep.
And it's really fun how creative people are getting with that. But I think with American single malts, it's just we're gonna be giving Scotland a run for their money here pretty quick.
I agree with you. I actually in our pot still right now, I have a smoked cherrywood single malt.
Okay.
Ooh.
That I'm getting ready to distill.
Okay.
It's fun to kind of play with those types of
Yeah.
things. It really is. But getting back to the gin, it is actually interesting because I'm not a big gin fan, but I was actually out in a distillery in Wyoming, and they sampled me on some barrel aged gin. and it
Ooh.
was off the charts. And I went to buy a bottle, and I said, "Sorry, there's it's only in that barrel, and we haven't bottled it." I mean, it was like something I'd never had before.
Okay.
It was really, really nice. I was like, "That's
What did
really
that taste like?
Yeah,
I can't
barrel
even.
aged
Yeah.
It's hard to describe. It definitely had a little bit of a caramel taste with the juniper and whatnot, but it was really just, it was a very unique product, and it just, the taste was really, really good.
Wow. Wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, those are kind of like, and you're seeing now people doing, everyone's, everything's being aged in bourbon barrels. You can get bourbon, vodka aged in bourbon barrels.
Right,
And,
right.
which is fun. And actually, like, you talk about American single malt and American whiskeys. We actually have a collaboration with Flying Fish, which is the largest brewery in New Jersey, and they're national, where they gave us a bunch of the wort from their Abbey Double IPA, and we fermented it and distilled it, and it's sitting over there now.
Okay.
And 50, but it's a really, really unique tasting whiskey. It's going to be really, really nice, and it's like something you never had before. And it's funny, we were talking about San Francisco earlier. I went to a distillery out there, and they started as a brewery, and they were still a brewery, but they were now making whiskeys from their various mash bills. And I had some whiskeys that they were so unique and just really, really good, but like nothing you'd ever tasted before.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
it's a big thing is the whole, you make something delicious and bottle it.
Yep.
And then you distill it, and you're going to concentrate that delicious,
Yep,
and age it.
exactly.
So that's a really, really fun thing. There's a distillery in San Diego Distilling. San Diego Distillery. I got yelled at on the podcast. But that's all he does, because there's so many breweries around San Diego that he'll just go there, and maybe it's not doing as well as they anticipated, so they'll give him a couple kegs of it, and he'll bottle it, and he sells everything in 375s, and he has like probably 20 different 5-gallon barrels, and they're all something different. Like, and that's the thing it's just mind-blowing. Like, all those little, so like that's it.
And that's, that honestly, to me, that's kind of the true craft, is, doing unique types of things. And that's why we wanted to do a 5 grain, which is the first thing we came out with, just because there aren't any out there. We wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
And, that's things that we continue to explore. That's why we did the Flying Fish thing, the New Jersey single malt. We do make a traditional 3 grain, but it's kind of, it's tough to compete with Jim Beam and Blanton's and, Elijah Craig and all these other guys.
Right.
You got to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Was this the first time you had done a single malt? This one that you have here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
It's very cool. Yeah,
So-
there's so much variation.
So when is that coming out?
Probably within a month or so.
Oh, soon. Awesome. That's exciting.
Yes, no, it's
Okay.
it's very, very close.
Okay.
It's very close.
Yeah, we might have to get a thief out and dive into that.
exactly. We can do that. We can do that.
Okay, cool. Well, let's sign off and go do that. But first off, let's give shout outs. So when are you open? What are your hours?
We never turn anyone away.
Okay.
I'm pretty much here all of the time. Our posted hours are basically 6 to 10 on Fridays.
Okay.
The reality of it is we're here all day, and we're open from 3 to 10 on Saturdays. The rest of the time's kind of by appointment, but like I say, we never turn anyone away.
Okay.
And this is the thing, we're allowed to be open till midnight. So if people are here at 10 and they want to stay till midnight, we stay till midnight.
Okay.
So
Great.
Awesome. So pretty much just come by Tim's at 5 a.m, and he'll be here by
yes, I will.
and drink some moonshine, and then come by at midnight. And, that's awesome. Well, cheers. Let's get a thief out, and let's
Sounds
take
good.
some
I really appreciate you coming here.
Thank you,
Welcome
Tim.
to New
No,
Jersey.
it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
What little drops
Sorry,
I have
I
left.
drank exactly.
I know,
I
right?
drank all
I had
mine.
like a little swig.